Hey, this is day one of the 6 month surrender experiment. And I want to thank you for joining me on this journey. I'm going to be vlogging every Friday to kind of recap the week and how it's going and what tools I've been using and what's been flowing through. But I thought I would kick off today with kind of why I'm doing this and what started that, as well as kind of like what are my rules of this whole experiment. So, pardon the audio on this next little bit. I was walking on my way to Pilates this morning, but here is a little bit of the inspiration as to why I'm doing this surrender experiment to begin with. All right, it is day one of the surrender experiment. It is a new moon in Aquarius. And what a perfect time to kick it off. I didn't even plan to kick it off on this new moon, but all of the events that have kind of led me to this point culminated really yesterday. I had like 3 different things this week that really pointed the direction that like I just need to surrender. That word kept coming up in so many conversations, plus different things going on in my life with just like when you feel like you're taking all of the aligned actions or the actions that feel like what you should be doing for the outcome that you want, and you're just like hitting your head up against the wall and it's not working. And one of the things that I've always told my clients and people over the years is that, when it doesn't make sense, it's often divine, right? When like 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4, when you're like, I was the best candidate for the job, but I didn't get it. Or, there's no reason there should have been whatever. I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. It's early. But when does it make sense, those things where you feel like you've put in your fair amount of effort and the results getting back aren't logical? That's kind of when we can know that, it's our intuition trying to guide us in a different direction and helping us kind of move that way. So that's kind of what it's felt. So I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this feeling, but lately for myself, it's felt like I've been doing a lot of action through my logical mind. I've been taking, massive action forward on certain goals, whether it's financial, career wise, or whatnot. But it's not really coming from that inspired, joyful, heart centered place. Like when we get that like light bulb moment, or we feel like, ooh, this is like a really fun, juicy idea. It's really coming from the head, right? Of like, okay, well, if I want this, then I gotta do this, and this. And sometimes I actually think last week or the week kind of leading up to this jump, I probably was more productive. Like I was on fire the amount of action I took. And I was also like feeling really good when I was taking this action, right? So vibrationally, I felt like I was on lock. I was like, taking this action, boom, boom, boom. And it felt like I just kept hitting a brick wall. And whenever that happens, like I mentioned on my walk, I always stop and kind of reflect to myself and ask myself, what's going on? And so that's kind of what I realized. I realized I was taking the action from my logical mind. And I've been doing this, I've been in a pattern of doing this now for a bit. Um, and I'm ready to shift that pattern. And so I think that is part of why I am taking this surrender experience to the next level and really giving myself this 6 month container to see what happens if I really step back from taking action for action's sake or action to feel like I'm doing something sake and reclaim that connection more, to be so discerning that I'm only taking action from that juicy, inspired place. And if that action is just cleaning my house or doing my laundry or calling a friend or whatnot, not judging what that action is. Because since we're just diving into this together, a little bit about me is that
I have a Capricorn moon, Capricorn Venus, Capricorn in my 10th house. If you know anything about astrology, I love to work. I live to work. I derive so much pleasure and worth from productivity, from success, from career gains. And so it is so easy for me to diminish guidance if my logical brain doesn't sign on as like this is something that's productive for work or money or career, right? And I'm really like challenging myself to flip that switch, take a step back, and surprise myself with this challenge. So let's talk a little bit about like what exactly is a surrender experiment, just in case you want to do it with me. What are the rules?
So, what are the rules of the surrender experience? Well, the first rule of the surrender experience is no forcing, no pushing. It's allowing myself to be guided by what is genuinely exciting me. I'm genuinely be inspired. I'm genuinely inspired to do. Um, Obviously, meditating every day. I'm gonna do my tapping every day, but I'm gonna try to get out of my logical mind as much as possible when it comes to taking action, so that I'm not taking action from a place of here's all these busy actions I think I should be doing, but from a place of only taking inspired, joyful, fun action.
Good. I mean, it sounds super simple, but the fears and the nerves that come up with it, like for me, are a ton. And I want to acknowledge that I'm actually going into this super privileged because I have a successful, business. For those of you who don't know me from my business, I'm a spiritual mentor, meditation teacher, 3 times best-selling author. I have another YouTube channel that's at Cassandra Bodzak TV that has all of that stuff on it. And so I've been successful for a number of years. I am married to a man who is also gainfully employed and successful. And yet, really rescinding all of the actions that I do from that place of kind of hustle energy, right? And really embracing this receptive feminine energy of total surrender and going into really truly diligently just taking the actions, really truly diligently just taking the actions that I feel guided to feels like jumping off a cliff for me. It feels like jumping off a cliff because part of me is like, well, what if the whole 6 months go by and I never feel inspired to launch another coaching group? Right? What if I don't feel inspired to, I don't know, do some of the regular things I do for business maintenance, right? Um, but that's why it's an experiment, because I'm just so curious to see. And one of the things I'll leave you with is that when I began my business, this is how it all began. I was so surrendered, but I was surrendered from a place of not knowing, right? Like I didn't know. I was completely surrendered because I didn't even know how to start a business. I didn't even know what was possible for me. And so, in that moment in my life, I was just really leaning on my meditation practice, whatever divine guidance came through. And I wasn't thinking of it as this is going to be something that's going to turn into a career or make me money or anything. At the time, I was working as an actress, and that was paying my bills. And so the for anyone that's curious to do this and has another job going and doesn't feel like they necessarily need to do this solely around that particular career, you can still do this. That's how I kind of started. And I was just kind of seeing what happened. With the free time that I had around that work, I asked myself, what would feel joyful? What's going to light me up? And I was so surrendered that it ended up turning into a career beyond my wildest dreams. And now it's almost like I feel like I know too much, right? I have so much in my head. I have so much strategy. I have so many friends that are doing similar things. And it's so easy to drown out that voice of that internal guidance, especially when it's uncomfortable for me, especially when it's not telling me the thing that my logical mind wants me to do. So, anyway, I hope that that is a little bit of a taste of why I'm going into it. If you want to join me, let me know in the comments below. If you're going to follow along my journey, let me know in the comments below. I've never done anything like this or done vlogs like this on YouTube, so I created this separate channel for it. But I'm really excited about this journey and about the infinite possibilities that might be ahead of me. And I hope you'll join me back here every Friday for a new vlog around my little 6-month surrender experience.